Give it a second. Maybe he's taking it out to surrender.
So, that was quite the finale. I'm going to be perfectly honest. At some point, I was a little iffy on whether or not Rick and Morty actually had any interest in exploring Rick's canonical backstory. But I must say, I was not disappointed with what we got. The episode confirmed my personal suspicion that the central finite curve was every universe with a genius Rick. But going a step further, I hadn't suspected at all that they had literally walled out every other universe. It was also quite obvious that Mortys were somewhat commodified, with evidence such as the Morty schools, the Morty coupon, and we never actually hear Morty referred to by an official designation.
Hello, I'm Rick K22. This is my Morty.
But this is the first time we actually see the horrifying extent of it. Another note I had was that the Citadel episodes really nerfed the general unkillableness of Ricks. Guys, you're all the smartest men in the universe. Surely you have something to do other than whack him with ineffective spears. However, the highlight of the episode was easily the reveal of Evil Morty's motivation and character. Specifically, how he tears down all the illusions of who Rick is.
Oh, it's so hard to be a genius. Couldn't you just die?
In a way, Evil Morty is a perfect achievement of what Rick wants to be. Nihilist who doesn't care about anything around him. And this has everything to do with how they came to reach the current point in their lives. Rick, for all his bluster and nihilistic statements, isn't a character that doesn't care about others. He's a character that wants to hide from the fact that he cares about others. We see several examples of Rick showing concern for the well-being of others throughout the show, sacrificing himself in the time split episode or killing the jelly bean that tried to sexually assault Morty. God, this show is weird. All while ostensibly nothing matters because there's an infinite number of universes. Nowhere is this made more apparent than Rest and Rick Laxation, where Rick literally removes every part of himself he considers toxic, and we see that Rick can manipulate his toxic self by threatening Morty's safety. In one fell swoop, we learn that Rick does care for his grandson, and that he considers that caring an irrational attachment he'd rather be without. What Ricky Murai Jack, God, this show is weird, reveals is something that the show has been building up to for a while, and that's the callous nature of Rick and his unhealthy relationship with his own intelligence, trying to use it as a way to build a barrier between himself and all his troubles.
Am I evil?
Worse, you're smart.
I'm not going to play the entire conversation between Rick and Beth, mostly because copyright, right? But I will cut through Rick's bullshit. Rick uses his intelligence as a shield from responsibility. He likes to go on and on about how nothing matters to him and how he has an infinite number of families he could infinitely go to. But then you must ask, why did he choose to return to a universe where his daughter is still alive?
When you know nothing matters, the universe is yours. And I've never met a universe that was into it.
They all have that excuse. It's part of their system. None of them have to be responsible. They're all victims of themselves.
When Rick successfully retreats into his idea that being smart is some sort of curse/blessing that separates him from the rest of the cattle, we get his callous attitude towards those around him at its worst. Why else would his reaction to all of the very concerning things Beth does in that episode be, "You're like that because you're smart"? In the same way he can use his intelligence to try and avoid problems like, say, turning himself into a pickle to avoid therapy, that intelligence can also cause him to act in callous ways that damage his relationships, like asserting that Morty could be replaced with 2 crows. And the absolute apex of this is in the situation with the Mortys, an infinite number of grandsons, literally manufactured so an infinite number of Ricks can have ever forgiving, ever loyal assistants to do their dirty work and take all their shit while acting as the perfect camouflage. While the Rick we follow, Rick C137, isn't that bad anymore, he's grown out of the Rick that sneakily took a coupon for a free Morty, it doesn't change that the Citadel is made up of alternate versions of the man. Alternate versions who show Rick at his worst, both to Mortys and to himself. The Citadel ultimately wasn't really making anyone happy. Even as far back as Tales from the Citadel, Rick's satisfaction levels were shown to be plummeting despite what was ostensibly a place for Ricks to gather, and I think it's largely because the person Rick has the most problems with is himself, because he's extremely self-sabotaging in the way he basks in his own intelligence. So a society made up of him would surely just make things worse. They use their intelligence as a way to hide from the pain, literally walling themselves off from any reality where they aren't the smartest beings, but they use that same intelligence to try and separate themselves from everyone around them, which just causes them more pain. Because even if in the grand scheme of the multiverse, nothing matters, things still matter to him. So they retreat deeper into acting like they're above everyone else. It happened with Rick's toilet. It happened at the Battle of Blood Ridge. It's a serious problem. Even Ricks that reject the path aren't allowed to be happy. Simple Rick is made into a prisoner so that Ricks can get a taste of the happiness they don't have. C-137 was pushed into it by the Rick that killed his family. Really, the biggest thing that causes problems for Ricks are simply either themselves or other Ricks.
Excuse me? Bro, Ricks don't pass on this.
Rick's problem is that he's smart, but it's not because the universe hates smart people or that he has to put up with other people's idiocy. It's because he uses his intelligence as a safety blanket for his pain and a way to keep from caring about anything. But it was this toxic system created by Ricks that led to the creation of the thing that would eventually break the system.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my god.
Hypocrisy Morty is much more successful in believing that nothing matters, because ultimately, nothing really matters to him. However, his flavor of nihilism and other such forms of it we see in the show is interesting because it's heavily flavored with misotheism, which in simple terms is defined by a hatred of God. Characters in the show who come to think that nothing matters are extremely similar to the aforementioned butter robots. What happens when you find out the purpose of your existence and you find it to be entirely dissatisfactory? Hey, what happens if you find out your God didn't just create you as a tool, but he also doesn't care about you in the slightest, and in some cases won't hesitate to hurt you because you are entirely replaceable? This is a concept the show has already dabbled in, like in the Ricks Must Be Crazy. Okay, that's kind of clever. Anyway, in the episode, we see reactions of characters finding out that their entire universe was created for the sole purpose of providing power to a higher universe.
That's what you used my universe for? To run your car?
Some may answer this by completely giving up on life.
Oh my god, no!
T-verse.
Some may try to kill their god.
I hope your god is as big a dick as you!
And if they can't, are simply forced to bend to his will.
One of two things was gonna happen. I was gonna have to toss a broken battery, or the battery wouldn't be broken.
But the central finite curve gave Hypocrisy a third option, because his gods were just variations of an emotionally stunted old man who had literally walled himself off from reality because he didn't want to deal with it. So he just left. Hypocrisy is by no means altruistic. The more common name for him, Evil Morty, which while I find it a tad simplistic, isn't entirely inaccurate. He is very willing to cause large-scale suffering and even genocide to get what he wants. But that's where his nihilism comes into play.
You sellout Mortys kill me. I'd hate you more than the Ricks you worship if there was any point.
For Hypocrisy, things really don't matter. He's tired of being trapped in Rick's reality and all the Mortys willing to stay and suffer at his hands as self-destructive as the gods they are slaves to. He is an extremely replaceable cog in a machine that's destroying itself.
Okay, tell your grandpa that you're worthy of his respect and you want to be treated differently from now on.
I refuse to do that. I'm desperate to get back together.
Unlike Rick, Hypocrisy doesn't use the fact that things don't matter as an excuse for his behavior. After 5 seasons of Rick insisting that his intelligence is a curse and that nothing matters, we have Hypocrisy tearing down his whole facade, revealing the lengths Ricks have gone to avoid not being the smartest people in the room, as well as their own pain also they can indulge themselves. And he does this while also undermining all the Ricks of the Citadel in order to escape from his own nihilistic faith to, well, anywhere else in the multiverse. I can't wait to see how the show chooses to go forward with these new developments. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment your thoughts, and consider subscribing. I'm hoping to hit 500 subscribers before the end of the month. Thank you and good day.